You're tuned into Maeder and Friends, the talk show that turns your peaceful drive into a full-blown "why am I yelling alone in the car" moment. Hot takes, daily drama, and zero chill. Let's begin. Why do most relationships fail? Now, this is quite a deep topic that can be discussed, so I don't want to drag this out for too long. But the thing is, I think a lot of people forget that when you choose to be with someone, commit to someone, you choose to learn with them and you grow together. Now, I think a lot of problems with people is they get stuck on that honeymoon phase, and then when things get tough, or when we change, meaning you and your partner, then we're like, oh, I don't like this anymore. Then it ends up, and a lot of the times we don't speak out with things that we actually don't enjoy. And it could be something small right now, but the thing is, it will build on and on the longer the relationship goes. And there's one thing that you hated from the start of the relationship, now absolutely you get appalled by it. It's not the other person's fault. It's not your partner's fault. It's just you didn't say anything. Communication is just so vital. And the thing is, when it comes to love, there's so much that you have to sacrifice. You can't do what you used to do when you were a single person. You have to compromise. But the thing is, you make that decision to compromise because you want to be and you choose this specific person to be with. From now all the way to the end. The last one I wanted to point out is people forget that you need to keep chasing this person. What did you do at the beginning of the relationship? Now, I know that we change over time and your partner's interests might be different. But the thing is, don't stop being, if they like affection, for example, don't stop that affection. If they like gifts, don't stop getting gifts. Don't get too comfortable that you've been in a relationship for, let's say a couple years now, that you guys just become friends. Let's just say just friends. The thing is, you guys are not just friends. You guys are best friends, yes. But the thing is, you need to keep up the sense of, you need to keep up that love, keep up that chase, keep up that fight. Relationships are extremely tough. The thing is, people stop loving people stop putting in effort into a relationship that ended up getting them in a relationship in the first place.
Yeah, I hear you. It's so strange, right? Because they say that love is complicated. They weren't joking. It somehow manages to be simple and complicated simultaneously, right? And just to put that out there before I get started with my absolute yap, don't wait for a leak before you have some maintenance done, right? Even if you're in a healthy relationship, some guidance, some therapy for couples, it never hurts, and it actually opens your eyes to a lot of things. I love watching relationship content creators because I'm always looking for that little bit of growth, a little bit of X factor, a little bit of glue. I'm always looking to better myself as a partner. And so I enjoy watching it. It's very insightful. With relationships failing, I quickly want to just reference something that really stuck with me. I can't remember who it was that said this. Initially, a friend of mine, he told me about this quote. I believe it was said by a comedian. If anybody that watches the video knows, let us know in the comment section. I'd love to get the name again. I might just research it myself in this video and then have it in a comment section at the bottom. But essentially, this guy said that they learned from their parents that everybody has their own puzzle. You have your puzzle that basically builds out who you are and who you're gonna be, right? What you think, how you act, everything about you is going to be in this puzzle with each of its pieces. And so when you go to a relationship, you are essentially taking two people in a relationship, sometimes three or more, I don't know, to each their own. And you essentially take these people and they are going to take on the endeavor of combining their puzzles. Each person has their own puzzle, and when you go into a relationship, you are now needing to blend those pieces together to make one puzzle.
Yeah, dude, I actually really like that analogy. It actually works quite well.
Right? That is the difficult part about a relationship. It's finding ways to make puzzle pieces from each side fit together. I think that relationships fail because of but it's of four components, right? Two of which I don't think gets spoken about enough, but essentially a lot of relationships fail because people are either their puzzle pieces don't fit or they're unwilling to mesh their puzzles together, which comes as a consequence with encouraging so much individuality, right, in modern society. But the four main things that people don't focus on, and these are the four components that contribute to relationships failing. The first one is intent. I said that everyone has their own puzzle piece, right? Everybody wants relationships for a different reason. What is your intent behind seeking companionship with this other person? Because some people look for companionship because they want to, have intercourse. They want to have a short-term thing. They want somebody to make them feel good about themselves, to tell them that they love them, to spoil them, to provide monetary or financial support. What is your intent behind this relationship that you're seeking out?
Intent, I actually do agree with you quite strongly, because a lot of people come into relationships not being open with their new partner, let's say it like that, whereas they just want to, let's be blunt and hit and run, or they're just there because they find you attractive and they want to sleep with you. I think being open and finding out what that intent is first before you actually commit to something is quite important, or actually very important, that people actually just don't say.
The second one, which is very important to me, and it doesn't matter if you've got a lot of things in common with your partner or if you guys have nothing in common and you guys are not best friends or you are best friends or whatever, it does not matter. The second point is chemistry. Chemistry is so underrated in talking about when discussing failures in a relationship. Chemistry doesn't just mean you guys have the same interests or you have the same ideals, you think the same way, you can guess what each other are thinking. Chemistry has to do with love language as well. It has to do with how you love and how you wish to be loved, right? Can this person and yourself mix together? Lots of people make relationships work even if they don't have the same interests, because they've got good chemistry together. They bounce off each other in a way that's unique to them and in a way that makes them feel loved. It speaks to their love language. It speaks to that yearning for companionship that they have. So chemistry is very important, and I wish more people would try to be with others and date for chemistry and not just physical appeal or emotions or what they earn or anything like that. Those can be important because, again, relationships are diverse, but chemistry is so important. Can you stand to be in the same room with this person for 24 hours?
I know a lot of people that are in long-term relationships that could not be in the same room for 24 hours. Not because, they've been in a relationship for a long time, but just because they're not fully in the relationship. I mean, I don't even have the words to say. Like, I literally cannot get that out. I mean, if you look forward to spending time away rather than with your partner, then get out of that relationship. Why are you wasting the other person's time? It comes down to me at the moment now. It comes down to me in my relationship. I don't want to do stuff alone. I feel wrong to do stuff alone. I mean, I know there's certain things that you should do alone. It's good to have yourself time. But for example, if I'm going to go for a drive somewhere, I'd rather go with my partner instead of going alone, just because of the company. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, do not have that mindset in relationships, which is so bad.
Right. The next one is communication, right? And to be honest, COVID didn't help with this, but nobody can talk to anybody, it seems. Like the act of just talking is so underutilized in relationships. It is ridiculous, right? And I'm guilty of this too. I've had this issue, right? But I'm trying to learn how to communicate proactively because I want to make relationships work. And the problem is, a lot of people don't want to communicate. They make a choice not to communicate. And it's just, I can't imagine any kind of relationship working out if you don't talk to each other. And the fourth one is kind of like a mix between two things. But the main points are patience and compromise, right? Because patience and compromise kind of work in with each other. When you are, again, trying to build out this puzzle with somebody else, that person has their own puzzle pieces. You need to be patient and compromise with them in order to make pieces fit. Pieces won't always fit together on the first try. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 tries, right? But you compromise when you have the patience to see it through, because that is what it takes to make a healthy relationship.
Compromise is a big thing. A lot of people would rather just say no and then just think about themselves, be selfish instead of compromising. And the thing is, they keep doing it. It's super detrimental.
And so I believe those are the 4 things why relationships fail. Is because of people's intent going into the relationship, people going after relationships with zero chemistry, people not or choosing, especially choosing or are incapable of communication, and people not having the patience or ability to compromise to make it work, right? Like you mentioned, they go through the honeymoon phase. It's all fine and dandy. It's fun. And then the honeymoon phase ends for some reason. And suddenly you're sick of this person. You're tired of them. It's like a movie you've watched too many times, right? The honeymoon phase inherently is such a bad term to use because it calls attention to the idea that the beginning of a relationship is going to be the high of that relationship, and it's all downhill from there. You can make the entire relationship a honeymoon period. I do this. It's well, not easy, but it's simple to understand, and if you take the time to actually learn how to execute it, it's quite easy. You can make every day or you can make joy out of every moment in your relationship if you choose to look at the things to be grateful for in the relationship, right? Obviously not everybody can do that, but if you do, you'd be a lot happier. I'm just gonna be honest. For myself, I feel like I've been in the honeymoon phase with my girlfriend for the past 4 years. Dead ass. 100%. I feel like we have been in our honeymoon phase for the past 4 years. Yes, we have down times, we have arguments, we have debates, we have fights. I have never ever gone to bed angry with my partner after we've had an argument, because we talk, we communicate, right? If your relationship has no imperfections, then it's not a real relationship. But despite that, we felt like we've been in the honeymoon phase for so long. And I want to bring attention to a content creator. Really helped me out a lot in my darker times in the past, but also just gives amazing advice, right? This guy, Matthew Hussey, he gave me the best advice that I've ever heard of how to make the most of a relationship, right? How to get yourself in a good relationship. So to put in perspective, the worst advice I ever heard was find someone that loves you more than you love them. And that's problematic because it's incentivizing the thought of being in a relationship with feelings that are not mutual. It's not 100-100, right? Which is what the ratio of relationships should be. It's not 50-50, it's 100-100. Both people giving their all to the relationship. It's terrible advice, but these are the things that people are teaching their kids to seek for in relationships. But the best advice I've ever received was write down on a page everything you want from a relationship. Write down the way you want to be loved. Write down the qualities that you wish to have in a partner. Write down your love language, what you need. Write it all down, right? Then be those things for the next person. In that way, you are loving the same way you wish to be loved. And to be honest, this can also help you figure out a lot of people that are just a waste of time, right? Because not all relationships have to survive, right? Not all relationships are meant to be saved. A lot of relationships shouldn't have existed in the first place because we've conditioned ourselves to sometimes not have standards because standards are seen as shallow. No, having standards is not shallow. Having unrealistic or unfair standards is shallow. That is the problem. Have standards not of a person's financial status, not of a person's physical appearance. Have standards on love. That is the important thing. Have standards of how you want to be loved and how you wish to love others.
A friend once told me a while back that you should never change the way you love just to please the other person. So for example, if you like affection and you physical touch, that's what I mean by affection. So if you like that physical affection, that's your love language that you give out. Don't change that because the other person doesn't like it. You must never change who you are. If you do, I'm sorry, it's not going to end well. There are certain things that you do change, like habits. Let's just say, for example, you leave the house messy, as an example. But your love languages never change. Find that person that will accept you for how you love. That is damn important. So I 100% agree there. That's something I learned a long time ago. And also, well, not an analogy, but a saying I heard was, now this depends if you, whatever gender you are. So we'll use me as the example. Would you be happy? So you can say this to yourself, right? Would you be happy to see your daughter dating someone that is exactly the same as what you are? So you can think about that. So it depends if you, again, depends on what gender you are, but think of your child and who they're dating, and they're dating the exact same characteristics as you yourself are. Would you be happy? If not, then you have to sit down and put some thought into that.
Exactly, dude. This comes down to chemistry and why chemistry is so important. Why would you date somebody, right, that goes against your love language and who you are? Just because you might both like Lord of the Rings, or you might both like to watch football, or go on hikes and canoeing, or read books, right? Or you're both indoors kind of people. If they don't have the same love language as you, then you're going to run into a lot of hurdles in the relationship. And you shouldn't have to change your love language if you're a touchy person, if you're not a touchy person, if you're more in terms of words, you like words to express your love language. You should not be forced to discard that, because it's not a negative trait. It's not inherently a negative habit to have. So that just goes into the importance of finding someone that you actually synergize with in terms of love language. And I mean, on your analogy as well, for like, if you have a daughter, would you be satisfied with her choosing a man like yourself, right? That's okay. This is a whole other conversation, but it's a little bit of a tangent. But advice that I saw, which is really great for this one, is the importance of a father in a daughter's life, because I don't want to make this any sort of political or bullshit like that, but when you're a father and you have a daughter, you are essentially, this is not guaranteed, right? There's variables, but when you're a father, you're essentially your daughter's first love, right? You are the first man that she's going to be interacting with, that she's going to express affection to, that she's going to learn affection and love from, right? And that's going to imprint on her what she needs to expect from a man in her life moving forward. Because essentially what fathers are doing is you're raising a woman to become someone's wife one day, right? Same thing with sons. You're raising a man up to be someone's husband one day. And so with that, the importance of that fatherly role is not just to make sure that your character is someone that you'd be satisfied with for her to end up with, but also just tell your daughter that you love her, because if you don't, somebody else will, and she'll believe them because you didn't teach her what it means to expect true love, mutual respectful love from somebody, whether it be the opposite sex or not. And that's a whole other conversation that we could spiral into. But I don't have any kids, so I can only speak on things I've learned. And I don't want to get really into that topic, but it all plays into the eventual why relationships fail. It's also because girls and boys, they have bad experiences from relationships because of their parents.
I've been told before that use women in this example, that they kind of marry their father at a later stage, which is not like 100% correct, but there will be certain traits that their partner might potentially have that their father did. And when it comes to the parents, if you grow up, you as a child grow up and your parents are fighting, there's a divorce, there's abuse, hopefully you don't go through something like that, that can affect their relationship with other people in the future for themselves, which it's really sad.
In the end, discussing relationships is really complicated, and again, there's just so many elements inside of it contributes to it. But if there's going to be real change, it has to start now. We have to be the change. And with the trajectory of the world and people, I don't see relationships, successful relationships, being on the rise for a very long time. I think that, we as people have been kind of just moving backwards, and it's either because we're comfortable, we're stubborn, we're ignorant, or we're just unwilling to, right? Divorce numbers have been spiking up, relationship drama and those things have been spiking up, and I kind of just see it getting worse. But at the very least, I will never let it get worse for me and my partner. I'm sure you feel the same as well. So it's a very complicated discussion, but I hope that the things that we've said now, to anybody that's listening to this video, it helps. And just like when you decide to go to the gym for the first time, take those steps, try to grow, be a better man, woman. You'll feel a lot happier. And I'm not saying this to sound like you need a relationship to be happy, but if you're going to be in a relationship, I think you at least want to try to be happy. But that's it from me.
I like that. And don't forget to look after yourself and take care of yourself before you can take care and look after someone else. That is important. So remember, focus on intent, or what the intent is. If there's chemistry, focus on clear communication, and don't forget to compromise. Those are just a few. If you have any that you can think of, let us know in the comments.